All right. So welcome to Warehouse Continuing Education. Today we are going to go over locations and the forklift. So if you guys have never seen the forklift, under the on-hand balances, you'll see this little forklift that everybody, all warehouse leadership has access to. I won't say everybody. So today in test, I'm actually acting as Penny. She's a warehouse leader down in Lake Charles. So we're going to be working in the Lake Charles warehouse today in test. And so this little forklift, we're going to talk about it and what we use it for. Okay. So the little forklift basically allows us to transfer a balance from one location to another. Okay. Now you may ask yourself, why would we want to do that, right? That doesn't make sense. Why would I want to move stuff from one location to another? I thought I had to call e-procurement. Well, you don't. We can do it from a warehouse perspective, and there's a couple reasons why you would want to do this, okay? So the first one we're going to talk about is a receiving error, okay? So if I come into my PO and I'm receiving this inventory order into the warehouse, I'm going to receive, and when I receive an item, it automatically should kind of default to these settings, right? Where I'm receiving it to inventory and I'm receiving it to my default location. For some reason, if this gets unchecked, the system is not going to put it to the default locations we have in the system. It's going to actually put the item in this selected location of none, 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 right? So we're actually going to create this error today by receiving this. Now, you just saw the system let me receive it, so that's not cool, but that's kind of how this error occurs, where we see the items on our on-hand balance that have a none, none, none location. So you may ask yourself, well, what does that really matter, right? Why is this important? For a couple reasons, it's really important. The first reason, as our teams are pulling items, they should be notating the locations, right? So they're making sure that they're pulling the right item. We all stock things that are very close to each other, right? We could stock 3 kinds of ketchup. We could stock ketchup in a 10-pound can. We could stock ketchup in a squeeze bottle. We could stock ketchup in little packets. So if we're just glancing at the verbiage and we have no other indicators, we might be mispicking something. So the location is one of those things that helps us be more accurate when we're pulling items, okay? The second reason is that this default and this aisle location actually has some pretty large financial implications for how our inventory is calculated. Okay, so at the end of the month, when Coupa downloads our inventory balances and puts it in our food account and our general account and our beverage account, it does that by this aisle location. So if it's not located, the system doesn't know how to accrue for that. It doesn't know how to put that on our books financially. So there's going to be an error. Okay. It also affects how things are transferred out of inventory. So like when I go to rec out these meal kits, the system doesn't know where to pull this dollar from. It knows it exists somewhere. It charges your end user, but it creates an error when it's deducting from our inventory value. So those are the reasons why this location is so important, that we actually have a location in the system. And so when we accidentally receive to none, 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 we all have report errors that send to us to say, hey, someone created this error, we need to go fix it. That's the reasons why we need to fix it quickly, is because we don't want to create financial transaction errors, okay? So how do we fix it? Well, it's actually pretty easy. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm not entirely sure where this meal kit should be located. So I know it's located in this none, none, none by accident. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for this item number, because I want to see the correct location and the not correct location, right? So it looks like I have 30 in this none, none, none location. And this is the location I actually need to move this to. So I'm going to take the little forklift and I'm going to move all 30 cases, right? And I'm going to transfer it to the right location. So it's important that I am picking the right location here, okay? So because I just flat out don't remember the right location, I'm going to cheat and have it up here on my other screen. So I am going to type this in, and we're basically going to select, right, the location that I actually want to put this in. And we need to make sure it is the exact location. And then when we're done, these down here, notice there are consumes, return to supplier, and dispose. Do not use those. You are not authorized. Those are done through adjustments or requisitions. This bypasses controls, just don't. So once we're done doing the right thing, we hit save. And you can see it immediately takes my 30 cases here and moves it into the right location so it's in the correct place. Now, this is going to remain on my on-hand balances transaction for a couple days. There won't be any other transactions to it as long as I don't repeat the same error, and it's going to fall off after about 5 days. So if there's none on hand, you're great. It'll fall off your error report as well because there's none on hand. So if you notice this after the fact, just be aware. The second thing I'll mention here is that if you make a correction like this a few days before your cycle counts or your month-end inventory, this item is potentially going to show up on your inventory count sheets twice. One in the right location, one in the none location. Just be aware that you're not putting the same balance in both spots. You will create more variances that way. So just a side note. But that's the first reason we would use the forklift. And you guys saw it's pretty easy, right? The second reason, so what if I want to change the location of something in my warehouse, right? Like what if I legitimately have decided that I want to move something physically in my warehouse from one location to another? I can actually do that myself. I don't need e-procurement to do that. Okay, it is, however, a two-step process. The second step being the forklift. The first step is I'm going to go to setup, and I'm going to open the setup screen here, and I'm going to go to my default receiving location. And I am going to find the item here that I want to physically change its location. So maybe I've already moved it. Maybe I'm going to move it today. Maybe someone's moving it right now. As long as they're done semi-close together, right? So the information matches the physical world. That's what we're after. So I am going to change the location of this trash can liner. So my first step is I'm going to click the little pencil button. And I am literally just going to change it to this general KKK first rack instead of this general III. Now, the only thing I'll caution you guys about when doing this is, like, let's say I'm changing from a beverage location to a general location. Nope. Right? Because we talked about how the system accounts for this financially. If I move it, the system is going to move it and it's going to create some finance errors and questions. If your location that you're wanting to use doesn't exist, that's a request to e-procurement to get them to create it for you. We can't create locations, we can only move things, okay? So once I've decided that I want to move it, I am going to hit save. And then it is going to show me this is now moved. But it's still in the wrong location in my warehouse, right? I changed the default receiving location so that moving forward, it won't be put in the wrong location when I receive it next time, but I still have to move it to the new location. So that's when I end up going to the on-hand balances sheet and I find my liner and I use my forklift And I'm basically going to take the entire on-hand balance that I have, and I am going to move it to the right location. Okay. So I am going to go in and I'm going to pick first rack 07. Make sure I pick the right one. And then I'm going to hit save. Oops, transfer and hit save. And this is what moves it from one location to another. Okay. Now you can see my 000 is still here. That's okay. Just like when we used the forklift the first time, it's going to remain here. However, because I've already changed the default location and because I've moved the inventory value to its new location, this record will no longer have transactions towards it. So it's going to fall off in about 5 days. Same rule applies. If you do this a couple days before your cycle count, it may show up twice, so just be aware. Okay. So those are the couple reasons that we would use the forklift. Now we do have a question in our chat that says they notice when you use the forklift, the next time you go to receive, it goes right back to the old location. Yes, that is because you're not doing step 1, which is going to setup and changing the default location. If you forget that, the system is going to hold that old location in the system forever. So you need to change the default receiving location before you use the forklift. That way both steps are complete. The next time you go to receive, it will allow you to receive to the new default receiving location. Okay. So those are the forklift reasons, and those are the steps we would use them. And I hope this has really helped you guys know what that little forklift is for on your on-hand balances.